Margaret was a widow in her 70s. She lived carefully. Every dollar had a job, every bill got paid on time. And for years, she believed one thing without ever questioning it. My Social Security check is fixed forever. Her exact words. She was wrong. And it took one 20-minute conversation to prove it. By the end of this video, I'm going to give you 3 things to check this week. Things that, for some of you, could mean an extra $50, $100, even several $100s a month for the rest of your life. So stay with me, because what happened to Margaret after that conversation is exactly why this matters. My name is Walter Barron. I'm an estate attorney, and for more than 15 years, I've worked with retirees, widows, widowers, and families trying to make sense of government paperwork that nobody ever sat down and explained to them properly. Here's what 15 years has taught me. Almost none of the financial mistakes I see come from carelessness. They come from missing information. The people I work with raised families, paid their taxes, served their country, did everything they were supposed to do. Then retirement arrived, and suddenly they were expected to understand hundreds of pages of rules nobody had ever walked them through. When we first spoke, Margaret told me her benefit was fixed forever. Nobody had ever told her otherwise. Nobody had ever suggested she ask, so she never did. After we reviewed her situation, it turned out she qualified for a survivor benefit review tied to her late husband's earnings record, something nobody had ever walked her through. It wasn't a lottery win. It wasn't life-changing overnight. It was several $100s a month, every month, for the rest of her life. That covered groceries, it covered utilities, and maybe more than anything, it gave her something she hadn't felt in a long time: confidence that she was finally receiving what she had actually earned. That money wasn't a gift. It wasn't a bonus. It was a benefit connected to decades of work and contributions she had already made. She just never knew to ask for it. If you want to hear about situations like Margaret's before they cost you money instead of after, this is exactly what we cover every week here on Walter Retires. Hit subscribe right now so you don't miss the next one. It takes 2 seconds and it costs you nothing. Now here's what surprises people. Margaret's situation is not rare. Nobody calls you and says, "We found more money for you." Nobody knocks on your door and says, "You may qualify for a larger check." Most retirees assume the number on their statement is final. They assume the government already checked everything. They assume there's nothing left to do. Sometimes that assumption is expensive. I want to be clear, I'm not talking about scams or secret programs. I'm talking about legitimate filing rules that many retirees never hear about until years later. Some people qualify for more because of a spouse, some because of a former spouse, some because of an earnings record with a mistake sitting in it for decades. The problem isn't dishonesty, it's that nobody ever asks the right question. The first filing step isn't filing for benefits. It's making sure the record Social Security used to calculate your benefit is actually correct. Your benefit is based on your earnings history. Years of income run through a formula. If the history is wrong, the math is wrong. Most records are accurate, some aren't. A missing year, a misreported income amount, an old payroll error that got carried forward from one system to the next decades ago. Think about how many jobs you've held in your lifetime. How many payroll departments? How many times your records moved from one system to another? Most retirees never compare their Social Security earnings record against their own history. They just trust that it matches. You can check this yourself in minutes through your Social Security online account. Look at each year. Does it look right? Is there a year you worked full-time where the earnings look unusually low? If something looks off, ask. An extra $50 a month is $600 a year. An extra $100 is $1,200. Over 15 years of retirement, that's real money. Next, spousal benefits. Many people assume their benefit is based only on their own work record. That's not always true. Depending on your situation, you may qualify for a benefit based on a spouse's record instead, or in addition to your own. If you're married, divorced, widowed, or widowered, there may be an option connected to someone else's earnings history that's worth a phone call to confirm. That includes divorced spouses. I know the instinct is to think, that ended years ago, it doesn't apply to me. Maybe not. But certain divorced individuals can qualify for benefits tied to a former spouse's record if specific conditions are met. Don't let a 5-minute assumption cost you years of missed benefits. Ask Social Security directly. For widows and widowers specifically, this is where I see the most missed money. When a spouse passes away, you're dealing with grief, funeral arrangements, family, paperwork. Reviewing Social Security rules is the last thing on anyone's mind, and that's completely understandable. But that's often exactly when an important decision gets made without anyone double-checking it. A survivor benefit review isn't about asking for more than you're owed. It's about making sure the benefit you're receiving is actually the one that fits your situation. Margaret didn't get a favor, she got accuracy. One more piece worth understanding, even if you've already filed: delayed retirement credits. Waiting longer to claim can increase a monthly benefit, which is why two people with nearly identical work histories sometimes receive very different checks. You can't rewind a decision you already made, but understanding how timing works helps you read your own benefit correctly. And it's exactly the kind of detail worth bringing up when you're already on the phone asking about your record. It's one more thing on the list, not a dead end. And one habit I'd ask every one of you to change: read your Social Security letters carefully. I know the language is dense and the pages feel endless. Most people skim them, some never open them at all. Please don't. Those letters often explain exactly how your benefit was calculated. If something doesn't make sense, you're allowed to ask for clarification. You're allowed to ask twice. Confusion doesn't mean the number is correct. Sometimes it just means nobody explained it properly. Last thing, if you've worked part-time, returned to work, run a small business, or done any consulting later in life, those additional earnings can affect your record. It doesn't guarantee a bigger check, but it's one more reason a review is worth doing. So here's what I promised you at the start: the 3 things to check this week. 1. Pull up your Social Security earnings record and look it over, year by year. 2. If you're married, divorced, widowed, or widowered, call Social Security and ask directly whether you qualify for a spousal or survivor benefit review. 3. If anything in your letters or your benefit calculation doesn't make sense, ask for an explanation, and ask again if you need to. That's it. One phone call, one review, one question. That's usually where it starts. If you filed years ago or lost a spouse years ago and you've been assuming the number you're getting today is final, I understand why. But an assumption isn't a review. A review gives you an answer. And this isn't found money or somebody else's money. It's yours. You earned it through years of work and payroll taxes. You deserve to know whether you're getting every dollar the rules say you should. If this helped, subscribe to Walter Retires. We put out a new video like this every week covering the benefit rules and government programs that affect retirees just like you. And if you know someone over 65 who needs to hear this, send it to them. A parent, a neighbor, someone from church. You never know whose monthly check changes because of one conversation. Thank you for spending this time with me. This video is for general educational purposes only and is not legal, tax, or financial advice. Individual circumstances vary, and Social Security rules can change. Always confirm your specific situation with Social Security, your county office, your state SHIP office, or another qualified professional before making benefit decisions.